I don't want to just, get off the cuff and say we're going to do something or not do something until I've had a chance to look at it. So that's really what I'd like to hear.
So why don't we start with the first demand, and if you quote unquote need more time to research, we're asking that you meet back with us in 1 week. So we'll start with the first agenda item, which is the first demand. We demand that you, John Thrasher, acknowledge in a public statement that you have accepted COPE funding and that you admit that you lied to students and faculty about your COPE funding on September 15, 2014. Do you agree to this demand, and are you willing to admit that you lied today and that you received COPE funding?
I'm not going to lie. We'll talk about it some more. I'll look at my record.
So your answer to this demand is no. You will not publicly admit that you lied on September 5th. I would like to make sure that you know that the direct quote of your lie is, I don't have a relationship with the Koch brothers. You say, I've got contributions from them. You go look at my contributions. I've never received any contributions from the Koch brothers. You said this in an open student forum here at FSU in the Turnbull Center on September 15, 2014, after receiving COPE funding from Koch Industries in the amount of $500 on January 9th, 2012, COPE funding from Koch Industries in the amount of $500 on October 11th, 2012, and COPE funding from Georgia Pacific, $500 on February 26, 2010. Do you still attest that you did not lie?
I'm going to go back and look at my contributions. I'm going to go back and look at what I said, and then we'll have a further dialogue.
So you're refusing to meet this demand today, and you're saying no?
I said, no, I'm going to repeat what I said.
Okay,
I said
so
I'm going to go back.
we'll mark you down on the agenda as refusing to answer the question and move to the next agenda item.
So FSU's Policy on Academic Freedom cites the American Association of University Professors definition of academic freedom. Furthermore, the American Association of University Professors has in the past described the contracts with the Charles Koch Foundation and universities, specifically FSU's, as a violation of academic freedom. And so as the president of FSU, you would be bound to the policies on academic freedom that take from the authority of the American Association of University Professors. So today we're demanding that you acknowledge that the 2008 Charles Koch Foundation contract violates academic freedom, as been found by the American Association of University Professors, and that the current contract signed in 2013 specifically is a threat to academic freedom.
Certainly, I'll look at that. This is my first day on the job. I'll look at the contract. I'll look at what you have just cited. I'll talk to some of our faculty folks that are involved in this, and we'll see what we can do.
Do you know? Do you have a sense, an understanding of what academic freedom is?
Certainly, I do.
Can you define it for us, please?
Let's go through your list. Is that on your list?
That's part of the list.
Okay. Go through your list.
So that's part of it.
We'll talk about
So
it.
define academic freedom as what it means to John Thrasher, please.
I'm here to listen, okay? I've gone through a lot of these questions before in the interview process. I'm happy to sit here and listen, happy to continue the dialogue with you as we listen and then study what the demands are in relationship to the policies of the university.
Are you saying that on your first day as Florida State University's president, that you cannot offer us a definition of academic freedom?
I offered the definition during my, if you'll go back and look at my interview, I offered the definition.
Can you repeat that?
I offered the definition.
To be fair,
Let's move on to
we've
the
been
next
quoting
question.
you from the interview, and so you seem to be picking and choosing when you stand by your words that you said and when you haven't. So we'll mark you down for refusing to answer on number 2, and move on to number 3. And just let it be said on the first day that we will have an available definition of academic freedom.
So, agenda item number 3, we demand that you, John Thrasher, publicly renounce the Charles Koch Foundation for signing corrupt contracts with Florida State University, and that you make a good faith gesture of returning the Koch funding you have received in the amount of $1,500. Do you agree?
Well, I wasn't here when those contracts were signed, obviously.
So are you refusing to publicly renounce the Charles Koch Foundation for signing corrupt contracts?
First of all, I don't know that they were corrupt, and I'd like to know what your definition of corrupt is. So maybe you could give me that, and then we'll look at it and research it and see if there were any illegal activities in respect to the original signing of that contract. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. And
So, maybe you're unaware, but this university that you've just become president of today has made international news for the corrupt nature of these contracts, and so perhaps you haven't been able to keep up with that. But the international community over the past month and a half has been absolutely increasingly aware of the problematic nature of the contracts between the Charles Koch Foundation and the Department of Economics. Are you saying that you have no familiarity with that issue whatsoever?
I have general familiarity with it, but I do not, you have to tell me what is corrupt about it, and I will certainly investigate it.
Can you describe your understanding of the problem?
Well, I've heard it from you. You're the only folks I've heard the problems from, basically. But
So
I
the
understand.
only
I mean,
thing you've
but
heard
again,
of the co-contract is through students coming to speak to you? You haven't done any research on the international news that your university is making?
I've been given copies of articles, certainly, yes,
So from somebody other than us?
from the folks who are here at the university, sure.
okay, so just so you know, the 2008-2013 contracts set precedents because they give Coke power over faculty hire graduates and hiring curriculum control.
And again, I would say, I wasn't here then, and I'll look into that. and
We're
see.
not asking you to have been
Yeah.
here, we're asking you now today to publicly renounce Charles Koch Foundation for the current contracts that they have with FSU,
Well, again,
and in a good faith gesture, to return the Koch funding you have because we believe it creates a conflict of interest
okay,
at our university.
I hear you.
So, for demand number 3, we have you as a refusal to publicly renounce Charles Koch Foundation and to put forward a good faith gesture of returning the Koch funding you received. Is that correct?
I'm here to listen today. I'm here to listen. That was the understanding I had. I was going to
So this
listen
is
to
a
what you
refusal
all.
to answer or a refusal of demand? This is
I'm
real
here-
easy.
I'm
There's
here-
3
I'm here to
choices.
listen.
Yes,
I'm here to listen.
no, refusal
I'm
to
here to
answer.
listen.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next demand.
So, Premier Thrasher agreed to the current disclosure to complete an investigation and that you were to
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Women and John Thrasher agreed to non-disclosure, review, and investigation, and that you were to create policies as well as ethics and transparency boards within FSU and the state of Florida that will guard academic. These policies and boards will be created so the community and public can rest assured that FSU is not being heavily influenced by private. So pretty much,
Pretty much what I said during the course of the interview process. We're going to look at every contract, we're going to privately look at it, any interested person look at it before any contract signed.
So do you think you'd be into the idea of maybe making like a donor agreements open to the university community?
Well, I have no problem with it. I mean, I'll check with our legal staff and make sure that's appropriate to do that, as well as with the faculty folks that are obviously involved in those particular contracts when they go in.
And are you into the idea of working to create policies as well as like an ethics and transparency board to ensure that agreements are managed in an appropriate manner?
If you don't already have one, certainly, so I'd be happy to look at it. Yeah.
So I can probably say yes on that, on the demand to get.
Again, I'll have to look at what policies we already have, if they're consistent with that, maybe we'll need to do it, but if they need to be added to, or we'll certainly look at that.
Okay, so I guess our concept is that the current processes by which we get agreements approved are clearly not as effective as they could be due to the fact that this agreement has gotten national, and not only from our agencies, but from well-respected academic organizations that stood for decades. It seems as though our processes that we currently have in place aren't really doing the job.
We'll look at it. That's all I can tell you. We'll look at them and see how strong they are, see if they're consistent with staff, foreign statutes, and do what we have to do to make sure that they're as open as we can.
Right.
Okay.
So should we move on to
Senator Thrasher, I don't know if you remember earlier this year, in fact 7 days before you were fast-tracked as the sole candidate for the presidency of FSU, myself, Jerry, and the President of the Faculty Senate testified in front of your Senate Rules Committee regarding HB 115. It was a law that covered up agreements between private donors and public university foundations. We testified directly to you about the corrupt nature of the contracts between FSU and Charles Koch Foundation. Perhaps you don't recall. We testified to the fact that the law that you shortly thereafter voted for would obscure these contracts that violated this university's academic freedom. In the face of the testimony, you supported this law that basically removes transparency. It removes the public's ability to review these contracts. So counter to what you just said, ensuring that people can see these contracts before they sign, you supported a law that does exactly the opposite. And so we're demanding that you create and support transparency policy that will make all gifts, grants, contracts, cooperative agreements between Florida State University and the FSU Foundation accessible to the public.
Certainly. Look at that,
So
absolutely.
you will look at that or you will read it?
I'll look at it in the context of what we're allowed to do under law and what policies we already have.
Okay, so as the president, it's incumbent upon you to take responsibility for what you're trying to do with this university. It has been the case in the past, I think shortly before you were chair of the board of trustees, that the university disclosed its donations en masse. And so historically, there's precedent for that. And I mean, if you want to act like a leader, for instance, you could take the lead and we can make this university an example of what transparency should look like. You have that within your power, presumably. And so you're refusing to agree to this amendment, is that correct?
I'm refusing to agree to anything. I'm here to listen.
Okay, so this is
here to listen to your opinions and your advice and your view of what these situations are. I think it's incumbent upon me as the president to make sure that we follow the law, that we follow our current policies, and that we adjust those policies if necessary.
You were involved in making really bad law that obscures and destroys transparency at the university. So I would suggest that there is some law that you put in that you can follow, specifically the one that you supported, AB 115, and that's exactly what we're getting at. So by suggesting that we adhere to law, that can very easily be construed as refusing to increase transparency at FSU. So I just want to make that clear, that adhering to law is not an answer to our problems. That particular law is a particular problem here. I guess I also thought that this was a meeting, and so that maybe instead of listening, you could also engage in what's being said.
I'm engaged a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
refusal to answer, and then we can move on to the next one.
So the next agenda item, number 6, falls in line with the previous two. We demand that you, John Thrasher, create a review process for the student-faculty majority. So that would be a supermajority. We're calling for 1/3 student, 1/3 faculty, to ensure that all existing and future private donor contracts are in line with American Association of University Professors and Florida State University's policies and statements on academic freedom. Right now, there is no review process in place. In fact, as you have previously learned, we've been in part of the process removing public view, the private donor public university foundation contract process. So we are asking you specifically to create a review process. Are you willing to agree
I'll certainly look
to
at it.
create?
Certainly look at that. Again,
Can
same
you
kind of.
say out loud, yes, I will create a review process?
I'm gonna ask my staff. I have a wonderful staff, and I'm here on the very first day, and I'm gonna ask them to take a look at that and see within our current rules, law, if we can do that.
Let me educate
Certainly,
you to what the American Association of University Professors relationship on faculty governance and academic freedom suggests. I also would like you to know that the students in this room are pushing the boundaries of the concept of shared governance to include student voice, something that did not take place on the Board of Trustees vote, nor did it take place in the Presidential Advisory Committee. Our representation of students was thwarted by Stefano Cavalera. So I want to let you know that the relationship on faculty governance and academic freedom by AAP demands that faculty members include freedom to express their views on academic matters in the classroom, on matters having to do with institutions and its policies, and on issues of public interest generally. The 1940 Statement of Principles has described the reasons why this freedom should be accorded and its rights to do so be protected. in institutional matters for grounds of thinking that institutional policy is desirable and undesirable must be heard and assessed by the community, meaning faculty and students, if we are to have confidence in its policies and the policies are appropriate. Right now, we have no policies in place to review private donor public university contracts before they're signed.
So none of our colleges have those policies involved.
We do not have university policy in place.
None of our colleges do either.
We do not have university policy in place.
We'll take a look at that.
So, do you refute the demand? Are you refusing to
I'm going to
answer?
continue my understanding of what we're here today for, which is to listen to you, take your concerns into consideration, see what we can do, and we'll come back.
We were very clear in letting you know that we were voice of demand and that we wanted you to respond to demand, yes or no. So, I'm sorry that on your first day that you have had a really tough time understanding that students have come with a list of demands that we want you to answer either yes or no to. And when we say that we put that forward on Thursday and then put it forward every day since. Number 7?
I just wanted to say before I read the seventh amendment that it's striking that you want us to tell you more about how we feel about things when we just spent a number of open question and answer sessions telling you very clearly how we feel about things, to which you often responded with non sequiturs or non-responsive answers. And it seems like you're just continuing to do that. And I'm not surprised, since you were doing that during your review process, it makes sense you would continue to do it when you already have the job. But the demands are not just paper to fly away, and neither are we. So, demand number 7. We demand that you, John Thrasher, reject any future agreements with the Charles Koch Foundation, Koch Industries Incorporated, and their affiliate nonprofits, including any organization directly funded by Koch Foundations, Koch Industries, the Koch family, directly, or any affiliate of the State Policy Network, including official and associate members.
I hear you.
How do you answer?
So the reason for this particular demand, whether or not it's a concern about a policy issue, whether or not it's a concern about the last agreements, an argument can be made that the only thing that a public university really has is reputation. Reputation brings us faculty, reputation brings us grant, reputation brings us students. So the most important thing to universities is reputation. And at the very least, these agreements are going to hurt our reputation, just with the appearance of impropriety. So it seems to make sense to avoid them, whether or not they are good or bad necessarily, because they are going to hurt they've been bad twice in the past, and they could hurt our reputation further.
They in fact do. We
Yes.
go to conferences and we hear them.
Most of these come to the faculty, through the faculty, so I'll certainly talk to the faculty about it. We're not going to get into anything unless we have a complete, transparent review by the faculty and anybody else, regardless of who it's from.
So that's already been a problem.
I wasn't here. I'm going to remind you.
Well, we're
I'm going to listen to you, okay, I really am. But I wasn't here in 2008. I wasn't official until today, okay? So there's a lot of things I can't do until I was here. I'm going to listen to all the things you've said. We're going to take them into consideration, including obviously that, and we're going to look at it. And we're going to look at it, and we're going to have hopefully another dialogue about some of these things once we have a little more.
Well, we'll be
Oh,
happy
sorry,
to
I
meet
didn't
with you in a week with yes or no answer.
Well, I don't know. Let me just say
What
this.
you wanna do?
I'm going to look at my calendar and see what I have in a week, okay? I mean, it may be 2 weeks, it may be 10 days, I don't know. I just got here today, I got here this morning, you're my first meeting.
And this would have been a very good case gesture for you to answer all these demands, being that you're a co-funded senator that is coming into a university that has quick contracts. So I'm going to pass it back to, regardless of whether you were here before, you received co-funding before you got here and you came into a university that's a threat because of co-funding.
As the administration's responsibility is to protect the university from outside influence, it really doesn't matter whether you're here in 2008. Presumably, it's your job now to protect the university from outside influence, as well as the job of the Board of Trustees. Clearly, there's a challenge there. And so it doesn't really matter whether you were here or not. The job is presumably yours now. And these are not new concerns. And frankly, it's troubling that you barely seem to have any familiarity with what we're actually discussing, or the familiarity that you do have, we've had to bring to you directly. It seems like you haven't done really important reading on one of the largest and frankly internationally known problems of the university that you've just become the president
May I
of.
ask you a question? May I ask you a question?
Oh,
How much did you bring this to the attention of the previous president?
Tremendously. We had multiple meetings with him. He actually commissioned the Faculty Senate investigation, like we are asking you to commission.
That's actually.
So, and as a result
I'll
of...
certainly give it to President Tyson and see what information he has, personally as well as otherwise.
Who's that?
President
You're
Tyson.
President of the Faculty Senate?
Sure.
Is
I mean,
that all right?
Uh,
You said the Senate, I thought you said the Faculty Senate.
yeah, the Faculty Senate.
Yeah, he's the president.
He is the president.
So are you refusing to reject the leadership agreement with the college on
We're gonna look at our policies. I'm gonna discuss any contract
say
that
yes
comes
or
in,
no?
any contract
So
that
you're
comes in with
refusing
the fact.
you're refusing yes and next, no.
Okay.
Agree?
Maybe this is a good segue. This eighth command, we demand Thrasher will commission a faculty senate investigation into the conflicts of interest and circumstances leading to the authorization of the 2013 contract. This will include an investigation of the administration's failure to follow through with the faculty senate and presidential recommendations following the faculty senate investigation into the original 2008 law.
I thought somebody said there was already a study.
So there was absolutely wrong. There's a lot that's been going on, and so we're trying to catch you up on what you seem to know.
So
Go ahead.
there has not been a study.
So in
About the fact-
2008, the first agreement was signed. In 2011, Story Grove took out news, and President Barron actually commissioned a faculty senate investigation. Faculty senate investigation, which actually includes Cindy Nelmer, returned a collection of recommendations and findings, some good, some good-ish, mostly bad. And it made a lot of recommendations for how to fix future agreements and how to fix the agreement as it's different. The agreement was then signed in 2013, as you know, and in a general sense, and I actually have with me a catalog list of every single thing mentioned, the faculty senate investigation, old memorandum of understanding, the new one. A lot of things weren't addressed, and a lot of things that were addressed, such as the hiring process, were addressed in a way that actually made the donors have more influence in just a different manner. And this agreement, which didn't address a lot of the changes that the faculty senate recommended, was re-signed by President Barron, Vice President Thunder, and Provost Coe, and a few others. So it's concerning for us when our past administration issued a faculty senate or commissioned a faculty senate investigation, and then in secrecy, because we had found out about the agreement on our own a year later, in secrecy signed a new agreement on this problematic agreement without making a lot of changes. So what we're looking into is a faculty senate investigation into what happened there. Why did this agreement get signed, even though a lot of the things that the faculty senate ad hoc committee recommended in 2011 were not addressed or were addressed insufficiently.
Okay, I'll be happy to talk to Professor Tyson and see what he's willing to do. I don't think I can direct the faculty senate to do anything, but I don't know, maybe I can. Even if I can, I'll certainly talk to him and ask him to look into it.
Yeah, that's easy, yeah. On the,
I see Professor Tyson just about every day. I'd be happy to talk to him about it.
He said that he would talk or look into it. I think that's what
yes.
Furthermore, President Barron at the time issued 3 letters to his vice presidents urging administrative actions that needed to be taken place. The 2008 contract included two conflicts of interest. And the fact that those conflicts of interest were allowed to take place without being red flagged was a problem that highlights what we're describing to you as a lack of review process. And so some of the structures that we're talking about as necessary to put in place are reflected in that complete administrative failure to allow this contract to go through.
Okay, we'll look at, so we need to increase some responsibilities or add some things to that a little bit.
You're saying it's possible that there's absolutely no action that needs to be taken?
I don't know. I wish I did know today, but I don't. This is my first day.
So if people that love FSU probably pay attention to FSU a little bit in the news, especially people who follow policy, who are interested in higher education. The agreement with the Charles Koch Foundation and FSU is one of the top two things FSU is currently known for in the news and in the world. And the fact that you seem to have no working knowledge of what we're talking about, even though we've brought it to your attention multiple times, is troubling on the first day of your presidency, that you do not have sufficient knowledge to first know what academic freedom is, and
I
secondly,
know what academic freedom
could you please define it?
I know what it is. I defined it when I was being interviewed.
Can you please define it today?
And I'm happy to listen to your other demands.
So that's no.
Whatever.
Indeed. So,
I think that more to the point, we're asking about how you could be so aloof to all the things that we're presenting to you when they've been brought to your attention multiple times.
I wasn't present.
You were certainly present on September 15th when you lied about your Koch funding, and I personally asked you if you could go on the record saying that you would no longer sign any future Koch contracts. So it was brought to your attention over a month and a half ago that students had concerns about academic freedom and corrupt Koch contracts on this campus and your own Koch funding. So that was, today is November 10th, almost 2 months ago. So you had 2 months to prepare. As academics who are concerned about our degrees that we're getting here and the students that we teach, I'm personally a graduate assistant, I take a lot of pride in understanding what academic freedom is and a lot of pain as I go to contracts at this university. So I find it insulting that you keep repeating that you're just hearing about this as if it hasn't been brought to you as a concern before. You've had close to 2 months to do some
I was
research.
officially made president of Florida State University last Thursday, when board of governors approved that.
So when does that mean you will start taking? So when does that mean you'll start taking these issues seriously? You weren't president in 2008. You were just approved on Thursday. This is your first day in office. When are we going to be able to
Today,
expect?
by Senate,
Okay, so
you
we expect to
gonna
get
let
back
me?
to you
Are
in
you
a
gonna
week.
let me finish?
You're gonna get back to us in a week?
May I finish?
You're gonna do your research and get back to us in a week?
I'm gonna get back to you when we have adequately done whatever research we need to do. My schedule, your schedule, and this community, absolutely.
So you'll get back to us within a week?
At least with a meeting schedule.
Yeah, we'll be
Do
able
a
to do that.
follow-up meeting
Yeah.
on what you, and your.
Are you asking me, are we gonna meet next week? I
Yes.
can't tell you that right now. I can't tell you that.
So you need to meet back with us after you've done your research.
It's not what I'm saying. You're totally
Can you give us
misrepresenting.
a roundabout time, 2 weeks? Thanksgiving
I
is
said-
very well for you?
I said when we adequately research the issues. Your
How
schedule.
long will that take you? in
I don't know.
administration?
I don't know.
Okay. Moving on to the night.
yeah, I just want to say, we have adequately researched the issue. For you to apply to a job that you clearly know very little about the major issues, it seems very irresponsible. So you were just made president, today's your first day, but you've had months of informal and formal interest in the job. And it's insulting, personally, that you would try to become president of this university and not bother to have the due diligence to look into among the most pressing issues of the violations of academic freedom at this university.
It took place before I got here, in your
Do
opinion.
you think that matters at all?
It took place before I got
Do
here.
you think that matters at all?
What matters?
You just said something. You just said, oh, this problem pre-existed your presidency.
Well, I sense,
Oh,
I got the sense you're
please.
blaming me.
Let me-
I'm more than happy to look into all the issues that you have asked me to look into.
Well,
And we will have a dialogue at an appropriate time when we have done our research.
I think you're being
Come back and
non-responsive to the
have a
question.
reasonable dialogue that's about the issues.
Can
It's
you
about
give
the
us
issues.
an exact time frame that you
No.
think?
Well, let's get back to the question because I don't think that
Let me-
Mr. answered the question.
let me be